This is pretty gangster, y'all, not gonna lie. Okay, so here's how the tank's gonna fit together. It's filling. That's pretty good flow for a drain, actually. I'm not too mad about that. What's up, everybody? My name is Jaden. I'm currently building out this bug in my eye. I'm currently building out this 40-foot school bus that I'm in into my full-time off-grid tiny home on wheels, and I'm documenting the entire thing here on this YouTube channel. So if you like that kind of thing, make sure to subscribe and follow along. Keep up with all the progress I'm making on the bus from the very beginning to the very end of the build and eventually getting to live in this thing. Now, in this video, we're going to be doing something pretty cool. I'm going to be showing you the process that I just now finished, like 5 minutes ago, of installing my gray water tank and mounting it underneath the underside of my bus. This is the first step in the plumbing process, so I'm going to be doing the rest of the plumbing here, you know, from this point on, but I wanted to start with my gray water tank so I had a place where all of the water from the rest of my plumbing systems would be able to get to when that time comes. I'm really stoked to have that fully complete. A couple more things I need to do to really perfect it and add to it to make sure that it's ready for, you know, different climates, but it holds water, it drains water, it's mounted under the bus. That's a freaking win. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like and then take you back a few days when I first started making the frame for this thing, and then show you the process from there on. So you might be like, Jaden, what's that huge pipe doing right there in the middle of your hallway? Well, kids, that's my gray water tank drain pipe. That drains straight into the gray water tank that is mounted underneath the bus right here. It's suspended with a custom frame that I welded together all by myself. And this pipe is gonna catch the pipes coming from my shower as well as my washer dryer combo unit. I'm gonna have my washer dryer combo unit sitting right there where that sweatshirt is, and then I'm gonna have my shower built up on a box right here. And those two drains are gonna connect, and it's gonna ride along this wall right to that little hole right there. It's gonna elbow through that hole, and then it's gonna catch that pipe right there and drop into it. Alrighty, we're back. This is going to be my gray water tank. If you guys have been following the channel, you know that I'm not doing a black water tank for my system because I'm doing a composting toilet. So I don't need a solids waste container underneath the bus, basically. So it's just gonna be a gray water tank and then a fresh water tank inside the bus. This is a 75-gallon tank. I got it from recpro.com. I don't really know. I'll put like a part number or like a link in the video description if you want to check this out, but it looks to be pretty standard as far as quality goes. Looks to be pretty high quality. It's designed to be a freshwater tank. So if you're using it for a freshwater tank or a gray water tank or a black water tank, presumably, should be good. I'm gonna be mounting this underneath the bus to catch all of my drainage water from my shower and my washer dryer combo unit. So the way it's gonna hang is, I'm taking another page out of the old Chuck Cassidy book of tricks here. If you follow my page or if you follow this channel, you know I'm a pretty big fan of Chuck Cassidy's work. He does some really good stuff. So if you haven't checked out his videos, if you're into like the Skoolie conversions or van conversions, I'm sure you've come across his page before, but if you haven't, go check it out for sure. He's got some really, really good videos, including one on what I'm doing right now. And that's why I said I took a page out of his book. That's kind of the whole mounting system I'm doing here. So I'm gonna be welding together some angled steel, basically to make a kind of top frame and a bottom frame around the corners of the tank. And then those are gonna be attached to some basically steel hangers that I'm gonna be either welding to or bolting to or both, I don't really know, to these ribs along here. These ribs are hollow, but I believe they should be plenty strong enough to hold the tank in its brackets, basically. So I'm gonna do 4 hangers, like one here, one right above you guys, another one right above you guys, and then another one right here, basically, or that's the idea. So you're gonna come down, they're gonna line up with some angle brackets that I'll drill a hole through, and you know, basically it'll all come together, bolt together down here at the bottom. It'll be really nice and secure, and that way if I ever need to remove the tank and service it, it's as simple as just removing 4 bolts, and I can drop the whole cage, so to speak. So that's the plan. Let me go show you what I've got done so far. All right, so if I wasn't making sense with my explanation just a second ago, this should hopefully clear things up for you. So here's essentially the idea. We get some angle iron, we make, you know, a top kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, like a corner, like cage for it. Well, why am I blanking on what this is called? Anyway, you get the idea. So we're going to be doing this with angle iron, and you can see I welded together some just, I think this is 1.5 inch 10 gauge angle iron. Now I'm no welder, so don't get it twisted. I know these welds don't look super good. That's why I'm not showing you a close-up or my process and how I'm welding, but this thing is plenty strong. So this is definitely gonna hold more than well enough for this full tank. So we're gonna be welding together another piece right here along this corner, and then a final piece right here on this corner, and we're basically gonna mirror it for the bottom. And then, like I was saying before with the hangers, I'm gonna be welding on some kind of drop down hangers here, 4 total, like 2 on each side. And then on the bottom, there are gonna be some angle brackets, basically just, you know, cut-offs from this angle steel here that are also gonna be welded on there, and those are gonna line up with these hangers that I'm gonna have going down. Hopefully that makes sense. It'll make sense once I start putting it together, but for the meantime, I got a lot of cutting and grinding and welding to do. If you're wondering what we're listening to, we're listening to Miss Ella Langley. I am a certified Ella fella. That's for show. That'll work in a weird way, but it will. Now, an issue I'm running into right now is my pieces are cut. This one's welded, these are not, and it's not ending up perfectly square. So naturally, I'm just gonna keep going and hope it works out. Now, I keep telling y'all, I truly know nothing about welding. Well, not nothing, but I really don't know a lot. But this little MIG welder from Harbor Freight has been doing me pretty well. Now, I'm not a welder, so y'all can't judge me too hard. Now, I know this is not a professional weld, but I mean, it's not bad. I think on my standards, it's pretty darn good. All right, so now I just gotta cut some angles on this smaller piece here, do that same thing, and then we'll have our top piece, and then we just mirror it for the bottom. Here cut, just some little 2-inch angle brackets here that I'm going to weld on to 4 spots on the top frame, or no, on the bottom frame, not the top frame. But this frame that I welded together earlier, we had some complications. It didn't quite fit yet again, so we are looking quite poor at the moment. I'm going to fill this in with a piece of flat stock just to like reinforce it. It's plenty strong how it is right now. It looks absolutely terrible though, so I don't know, man. I was having some major issues with that. Imagine this is upside down right now, so it's going to be on the bottom, and then brackets here in 4 spots, probably space them out a little bit more, or I'm not really sure, make them even, and then just tack them all with welds, and then this will be flipped over, and we'll see. I'll see how it catches here when I'm done with that. So I'm going to weld these together. I don't know, to me at least, they're not looking too bad. Not too terrible, you know? I don't know, you guys know I'm not a welder, so I think this is good for me. So this is gonna be the bottom frame for the tank, so it's gonna sit underneath, and then basically, here, I'll pick it up for you, like this. Tank's gonna be in here. I'm gonna have some kind of sheet metal, at least on some portion of it, to hold a heat pad, because I'm gonna get a 12 volt heat pad and wire that in so I can make sure that the tank doesn't freeze when it drops below freezing. And then obviously put my tank in here, and then on top put my top frame, and then I'll have some hangers basically drop down from the top frame and line up with these 4 brackets that I just welded on there. Drill a hole through both of them, get this whole thing situated, and make sure it all fits together nice and holds the tank nicely. And then we'll figure out how to hang this thing underneath. Still got to cut some holes for this to fit over neatly, but then I'll have a stringer coming down here, and then 2 on the other side to tie in and tie this whole thing together. All right, only a couple more things to do before we can start mounting this thing. Got 1 more of these little hangers to cut and get on to the top frame, and then prime and paint it, figure out where I'm going to be hanging it, make my marks, and we'll be good to go here in a little bit. I think it's coming together a lot better than I anticipated, even though I've made a few mistakes with the welding and everything. I think it's still going to be pretty good. I can't remember if I showed y'all the other 3 hangers that I did yesterday. I think my camera might have died, but I got these welded on, looking pretty solid. I'm gonna go ahead and weld this one on right here, get it all nice and set up, and then we'll do a little test fit, make sure everything lines up, and move on to the next. Don't want to put any holes in my sweatshirt here that I'm wearing. I realized yesterday, after the fact, I was welding with shorts and a short sleeve on. I have a kind of like a weld burn or a sunburn type thing on my upper arm. Completely forgot that you're not supposed to do that. I was totally spacing. Okay, so that right there should be the end of the welding. So let's go ahead and grab the other tank frame piece that's not super hot from the weld and start priming and painting it. Alright, so we're looking pretty good. Got everything painted, primed and painted. Got a couple coats of both on there, on both the frames, so just letting those dry for about the next hour or so, and then start the mounting process. Pretty exciting. While the frames dry, I need to figure out where I'm gonna be dropping my drainage pipe into. And originally I was like, okay, so basically I have this little hole right here that I would be able to slip a pipe through, a nice little 2-inch pipe for drainage, and drop it down here. But if you look here and come straight down the side of the bus, you'll notice there's an exhaust pipe here, which totally blocks anything from being mounted there. I can't fit the tank there. So I have to fit the tank over this way from the exhaust pipe. So basically right about here or so is the farthest I can bring it over. But if we look here and say, okay, this is as far over as I can bring it, and go straight up, you can tell we're like right here, like right there on that seam, or a little bit over on the subfloor, which is unfortunate. It's not exactly where I would want to drop it, but my plan right now, at least, is to have an extension of the kitchen come out on this wall and have counter and under storage here as well. So what I think I might have to do, and it might honestly not be as bad as I'm thinking, but I think I might have to basically bring the drainage out from the bathroom this way and drop it through the subfloor there, I think. That's at least the idea right now. I don't really think there's another spot I can mount the tank, because obviously, you know, when we come under here, we have, you know, the tire and the wheel well. But then if you go over farther, you have, you know, all this other stuff that I have no idea what it is, but I know I can't mount anything there, obviously. And then the only other option would be behind the wheel well, which I don't necessarily think would work either. Maybe, potentially. I'll have to take a look at it here in just a sec. Okay, so here's how the tank's gonna fit together when it's all mounted. So basically I'm gonna be bolting up through this angle bracket here, this piece of angle steel, up and through the beam on the underside of the bus in 4 spots or maybe more. So like bolt, 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 holding this top frame in place, and then down here we have this hanger that's attached, welded to the top frame, and then we have this angle bracket that's welded to the bottom frame, and that's going to bolt together as well to hold the whole frame together. And then the tank's going to just be suspended under the bus like that. And then if I need to take the tank off, all I need to do is undo 4 bolts down here. That bottom frame drops down, I can remove the tank and then put it right back up when I'm ready to. Fits together really well though. The exhaust pipe down there is completely in the way from me basically being able to butt this all the way up here. Basically, if that exhaust pipe wasn't right there or dropped down a little bit lower, I would be able to butt the entire tank up to basically where this wheel well is and then just drop it straight down through that wall. But unfortunately, I can't do that, and the tank is too thick to kind of slide between the exhaust pipe and the underside of the bus. So I think really the only way to do it without potentially having to have a pipe that comes out to like the middle of this this area here and just have like a cover-up cabinet basically is to run it along this side of the wall and drop it through that spot right there. I'm gonna play around with that, see if I can get enough slope on that, and if I can, that'll probably be the move. Jeez, man, getting under this thing is a freaking trip. Okay, here we are in my newly designated mounting spot behind the driver's side rear wheel well, or only wheel well, I guess. And to be truthfully honest with you, I didn't actually take an exact measurement of the cage and the available space here. I just looked at it and I was like, that's probably enough space. So I'm really hoping there is enough space. Plenty of sharp rusty metal under here. I really need to do some spring cleaning from outside of the underside of the bus. The idea here is to get this frame as far this way as possible to be able to wrap that pipe around the side of the wheel well that I showed you earlier. So yeah, hopefully I can get it basically fully pressed up against the mud flap, basically. And hope never know. Tricky to do one person solo. Showed you guys this earlier, but the plan is to bolt it through these guys. So you can tell the difference between like this and this. This one has a lip out, it's like a piece of angle. This one is kind of like a V shape, so it's not accessible on the inside of it, so I wouldn't be able to get a nut and everything to tighten it down. So I need to bolt through these, and then I'm thinking along like the side here, wherever it touches one of these, I'll just weld it together as well, just to give it a little bit extra hold, but I don't even think that would be necessary to be honest with you, but we'll see. Oh, doing this on a bed of large gravel too. Not super comfy. Okay. Ooh, this is Oh, this is not easy to do by yourself. That's for sure. Okay, there's... Oh my gosh, that was a crazy ab workout right there. Ooh, I should do that more often. This thing's got some crazy dirt caked up in it. Woo! Oh boy! Wow, that was kind of tough, not gonna lie. Okay, so this is about where I'm gonna need it or want it. I think it's gonna work excellently. I'm gonna go ahead and secure this up, and then once I have it secured up, I'm going to very carefully somehow make some measurements to make sure that the hole I'm drilling through the bottom of the bus lines up with where I want it to come out on the inside. And then I'll go ahead and make up the entry system for the tank, get the tank in here, and then we'll give it a nice little test ride. Test ride. Heck yeah. Alright, gangsters. Let's get this thing done. Okay, so there's one down. Next one's going right here. Alright, gangsters, I'm dirty. My camera died while I was doing it, unfortunately, but the tank is mounted. Not fully. I don't have like the nuts and everything on there. And then one of them ended up kind of like shifting over there, and it like doesn't quite fit, so I'll have to like re-drill it out, make it fit nicely. But yeah, I'm liking how this looks. And I mean, like, here, I'll show you the POV of walking on the side of it. Like, this is eyeline POV. But yeah, you can't notice that it's even there. You can only notice it when you like get down to this level. So a ton of clearance, and then like the mud flap, you know, it's not gonna actually hit the tank or anything. So there's a couple more things I need to do. One, I need to actually like put all the fittings on to the tank. I watched a video on how to do it. Seems pretty easy. So I'll put a fitting on the tank, make my mark, put my pipe and everything down through the floor, get all that situated. And then when I have that, I'll also have to put in a heating pad. And actually this position that I have the tank in, since it's like on the back side of the bus here, is pretty advantageous for the wiring for the heating pad, because I can just run it straight up through the wall, through the floor, and then through the wall. It's like directly underneath my 12 volt fuse block. So I can just wire it straight into that and call it good. All right, only a couple more things to do to basically complete this gray tank. So I just showed you I have it all mounted and it fits really nicely. Now comes kind of the sketchy part, and that is figuring out where to drop my pipe, and then also making the fitting in the tank that lines up with where I drop the pipe through. But let's go through kind of what I'm thinking here. All right, so I'm standing right about where the tank is, or at least on top of it. So if I were to drop straight down through where I'm standing right now, I would land on the gray water tank. What I should do is drill up from the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and get under the bus. I'm gonna take the tank out, and then I'm going to probably just say screw it and drill up and see where I land. Probably should take some measurements, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. And actually, while I got you here, I'll kind of clue you in as to my plan for draining the thing. So as I mentioned before, or maybe I mentioned to you, I can't remember if I included that video or not. I was in my car kind of like contemplating, but if I didn't, basically I was driving to Home Depot, getting some tools for actually making the opening in my tank for my drainage pipe. And I was like, wait a minute, how do I drain this thing? Because I was looking back and I was like, I I don't remember seeing any like actual drainage hole. The only hole I remember seeing is the one that was like the water inlet hole. So I was looking up online, and apparently there's a difference between a gray tank slash fresh tank and a holding tank. A holding tank is usually referred to as a black tank, and it's used for like solid waste containment and dumping. And those come with a big old like 3-inch opening with a valve on it that you can use to dump solids. These don't have that. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna drain the water, and I think I came up with a solution that's actually gonna work pretty decently. Hopefully, we'll see. I just picked up this little PVC elbow here. It's just a little 90-degree PVC elbow, and I got a couple different fittings. So how it ended up working, and I did a little test fit down there before just to see what was going on. It ended up actually being perfect to basically insert the water inlet into the female end of this elbow and thread it on kind of just by hand. It should, in theory, work. And then I have this cap here just to hold the water and, you know, not let it spill out, but I can also get some kind of valve to go on the end of this to make it a little bit more professional and make it easier to drain and close up without getting a bunch of spills everywhere when that time comes. But that's the idea. So we're gonna, at some point whenever we test this, see if this works, if it's actually watertight, and if it does, that's a really cheap and easy way to make a fill, or I guess a drain on your tank, because this little elbow was like $2. This cap was like $1.50 or something like that. A valve might be like 15-20 bucks. That's not too bad, and it's, you know, pretty easy to put on there. You just hand thread it. You can even get a tool if you want to get it a little deeper on there, and then off to the races. I'll show you what I mean when I get down there and actually do it, but that's the idea for now. I cannot wait until I'm done with this, bro. This has been like the most frustrating 30 minutes I can remember for a while. And dropping that tank, yes, it's possible, obviously, but it is the most frustrating thing. Got my hole saw here. This is a 3-inch hole saw, or maybe like a 2, no, yeah, it's probably like a 3-inch hole saw. Can't remember, but it's bigger than I need it to be because I have a 2-inch pipe that I'm gonna be dropping through here. I bought the wrong type of hole saw, I guess. I bought the other white and red brand of hole saw that for some reason doesn't have the same bit, so I can't use it unless I run back to Home Depot, which I'm not doing right now. So I am over it right now. Plus crawling in and out of this stupid gravel, bro. But I'm just gonna start drilling a hole. I'm gonna drill it like right here. Hopefully it comes out in a good spot. Hopefully it is in the right spot. Oh, hi, Bailey. Bailey went outside. Uh-oh, don't squeeze through there, sweetie. Don't, no. You stay in the backyard, please. Just stay there, okay? I love you. Good girl. I'm gonna finish the drilling from the top since I can see light now. So let's go up and see where we came out. All right, guys, cross your fingers. Let's hope we came out in a good spot. Can't see. Oh, okay, well, see, that's where we came out. So that's the center of the hole right there. So that's actually not too bad. Slightly unfortunate that it wasn't literally like like 4 inches back that way, but that'll be fine because I can elbow through here, get a little slope going, elbow down into that hole, and then just extend the hallway over it. Plus, actually, that might give me some nice ability to add a little bit of under hallway storage. So I mean, it is what it is. That's the best case scenario right there. Oh, there we go. Oh! Sorry about that. Sometimes you just gotta make noises. I'm gonna grab my pipe and see how that drops down there. Got a lot of dust in my base. Alright, so we're gonna drop the pipe down. And that's about what it's gonna be. Oh, you can't even freaking see, idiot. There we go. Remember, I mentioned I bought the wrong hole saw and wasn't about to make a trip back to Home Depot, so I'm going to fill the rest of all this crap with spray foam and such after I get everything situated. Alright, I really hope this is the last day I'm working on this, at least for now, because I'm sick of this freaking tank, bro. I know I got to take it off and put it back on again at least one more time, and I hope it's only one more time until I get the heating pad and have to wire that in, but I'm gonna save that for later. Not really worried about that at the direct moment. But when I left y'all, we had just drilled a fat old hole into the middle of our bus floor, and we're about ready to get this whole drainage pipe situation figured out. Pretty sweet. Also, after I cut the camera, I went down and kind of played around with the drainage system with that little elbow piece I showed you, and it actually works out so well, at least for now. I haven't tested it with any flowing water yet to see if it's truly watertight, but at least the fit and the mechanism I think is going to work so well. I'm just going to go ahead and try to... Oh, if only I had tiny little dainty hands. There we go. Alright. Now let's go ahead and go drop that tank. That's a task. While I have you here, and it's already up here, check out this little drainage system I have here. So, like I said, I just have this PVC elbow here. Oopsies. What the heck? Hold up. I really tightened that thing last night. But yeah, I just have this PVC elbow that kind of like perfectly fit to where I could just hand thread it onto this non-threaded plastic fitting, basically. And it's like, I mean, every time I twist it, it goes in a little deeper and like threads itself on, which is perfect. This should work really well, and then I can replace this cap at some point with a proper valve and make it a really easy drainage. Okay, well, about ready to put a big old 3-inch hole in this thing. The installation process of this hole and thus the drainage pipe seems pretty simple. They included an instruction sheet. Didn't really understand it, so I watched a video and it totally made sense after that. So basically how it goes is they include, like, I'll put a link in the description for this particular tank, but with this tank they include a bunch of different sizes of rubber grommets, so you can basically choose what kind of or what size drainage pipe you want to use. So I went with the 2-inch grommet, which works with a 2-inch pipe. And it requires a 3-inch hole saw, which I have right here. So basically I'm going to be drilling a hole where I marked center line, so right here, deburring it with a sharp knife of some sort, and then shoving this guy in here until it slaps into place, and then I'll do the same with the coupler that I have that is attaching to the rest of my drainage pipe, and that's about it. Nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and hopefully easily, yeah, nice. Oh, wow. I need dish soap. I hear palm olive is good for fitting ABS pipes into gray water tank couplers things. Holy schmoolah. I know you can't really tell, but the hole perfectly lines up. I'm getting giddy because the last, I guess, week of building this frame, and then the last 2 days especially, putting this tank on and off and on and off again has been a pain in the butt. So I'm getting excited for this. Let's take out the AirPod for true immersion. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw a little bit of that palm olive right here on the thing. Just a little, just a touch. I'm gonna go ahead and smear it around. Might need more, but probably not actually. It's probably the perfect amount. Dry it off on my work polo that is for some reason in the bus. Don't know why. And here we go. Listen up, kids. We're listening for a click. Okay, I didn't hear it click, but I definitely... it's definitely in there. Woohoo! Look at that. Look at that. Sweet. But how about we do a little friggin' test run, hey? Make sure this thing holds water? That sounds like a friggin' plan to me. Alright, for my first test, I have a very long hose ran about 100 feet into my pipe. Let's go ahead and throw this water on and see what's happening. Hopefully this thing holds water. Imagine I did all this work and this thing came like with holes in it. That would suck. Gray test, water. Okay, that needs to be refit. Any hooser. Ooh, can you hear it? It's filling. It's filling. I wonder how quickly it's filling. Okay. Yeah. I'm seeing the water level rise. Now it's about at the level of my drain here. So I want to test the drain and see how that drains. There we go. Look at that. That's a lot of... That's pretty good flow for a drain, actually. I'm not too mad about that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is done. Not easy necessarily, but it got done, and it only took me about a week of working on it a couple hours a day. Not too bad, and I think I got better at welding, so we're winning a lot here. Largely, this is done, so that's where I'm calling this video. So remember guys, if you like this kind of thing and you want to keep up with my progress, I'm doing the whole build series here. So if you don't follow already, make sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all the progress I'm making on the bus. I've got a ton of videos on my channel as well already going over everything I've done. I've done a lot of stuff. I've raised the roof, I've put an insulated subfloor system in, installed new RV windows, put in these nice finished plywood walls. I built my couch, which is what you're sitting on. I mean, a full electrical system with solar on the roof. Like, the list goes on. I've done a lot to it so far, but there's a lot still to go. So make sure to follow along. And let me know what you think about that mounting process. Like I said, it's kind of a book out of the old Chuck Cassidy. No. Like I said, it's a page out of the old Chuck Cassidy book of tricks as it comes to Skoolie building. So if you want a more professional and easier to understand video, go check out his page. He has a really good one. I'm basically doing this exact same thing with a smaller tank on a van, but the same principle still applies. And let me know what you think. If you think there was a better way to do it, let me know. If you think this is a really good way, I'd love to hear what you think, regardless of what you think. I'm happy with it, so that's really what matters. Anyway guys, I'm going to cut the video here. I'll see you in the next one.